It was supposed to be a simple evening. The parents had an unexpected invitation, an urgent family dinner that they simply couldn't refuse. The only problem? Their two children. They couldn't be left alone, not at that age. Panic began to set in as the couple realized they had no one to watch the kids on such short notice. The father quickly pulled out his phone, scrolling through contacts, while the mother paced the living room nervously. Every relative, every friend, every neighbor they trusted was either busy, away, or unavailable. Time was running out. The dinner was in less than an hour, and they were running out of options. Then, almost by chance, a name popped up, a young woman who lived nearby. They didn't know her well. In fact, they had only met her briefly through a community event. She was polite, seemed responsible enough, and mentioned once that she worked part-time as a babysitter. It wasn't ideal, but desperation often clouds judgment. The mother hesitated. "Do we really trust her with the kids?" she whispered. The father sighed. "We don't have a choice. It's just for a few hours. What could possibly go wrong?" Reluctantly, they dialed her number. To their relief, she answered quickly and agreed without hesitation. "Of course, I'd be happy to help," she said in a cheerful tone. Within minutes, she was on her way. The parents exchanged uneasy glances. Deep down, a small voice inside them warned. Inviting someone you barely know into your home, especially to watch your children, was a risk. But at that moment, logic gave way to urgency. When the doorbell finally rang, the babysitter stood there smiling, her bag slung over her shoulder, ready for the night. The children ran up curiously, their innocent faces glowing with excitement. To them, she was just another new friend. But little did anyone know, this decision would mark the beginning of a night they would never forget. The babysitter stepped inside with a polite smile, her soft voice filling the quiet house. She introduced herself warmly, placing her small bag near the sofa. Her appearance was simple: jeans, a light sweater, and her hair tied neatly back. She looked young, probably in her early 20s, the kind of girl anyone might trust at first glance. The children clung to their parents for a moment, their wide eyes studying this new stranger. But the babysitter quickly bent down, greeting them with a cheerful tone. "Hi there, I'm Sarah. Don't worry, we're going to have fun tonight." She pulled out a small coloring book from her bag, instantly winning the kids over. Their hesitant expressions turned into giggles, and soon they were sitting with her on the carpet, coloring away. The parents watched, their tension easing just slightly. The mother whispered, "She seems fine." The father nodded, though a trace of doubt lingered in his eyes. He handed her the list of emergency numbers, pointed out the snacks in the kitchen, and explained the kids' bedtime routine. She nodded attentively, repeating back every detail as if to reassure them she was responsible. Yet, behind that friendly demeanor, there was something unsettling, something the parents couldn't quite place. A pause too long, a smile that didn't fully reach her eyes, a glance that shifted quickly when she thought no one was looking. But pressed for time, they ignored the small signals. As they put on their coats, the children waved happily, already comfortable with the babysitter. "We'll be back by midnight," the father said. She responded with that same calm smile. "Take your time. They'll be safe with me." The parents closed the door behind them, leaving their most precious treasure in the hands of someone they hardly knew. What they didn't realize was that this stranger's presence would soon turn their ordinary night into a terrifying memory. The first hour passed like a breeze. The babysitter settled on the living room floor with the children, spreading out crayons, storybooks, and a few toys she had cleverly brought along. The kids, who were shy at first, quickly warmed up to her. Laughter filled the house, the kind of innocent sound that made everything feel safe and ordinary. She read them a story, her voice calm and soothing, acting out the characters with playful expressions. The children giggled, clapping their hands with delight. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual, just a normal evening with a friendly babysitter. In the kitchen, she prepared snacks, carefully arranging cookies and juice on a tray. The kids followed her around, chatting excitedly. She smiled, nodding, her movements graceful and calm. To anyone watching, she looked like the perfect caretaker, responsible, attentive, and gentle. The children's guard was down. They trusted her. They felt safe. The youngest even curled up against her on the couch, clutching a blanket, whispering, "You're nice." She patted his hair with a smile that seemed genuine. But if someone had looked closer, really closer, they would have noticed something strange. Whenever the children weren't looking, her smile faded. Her eyes grew distant, almost cold, as if her thoughts wandered somewhere dark. Then, when the kids turned back toward her, the warmth instantly returned, her voice sweet again. Time ticked on. She guided them upstairs, helping them into pajamas, brushing their hair back, and tucking them under the covers. She even hummed a soft lullaby, her voice low and steady, lulling them towards sleep. Everything appeared normal, ordinary, comforting. Yet, beneath the calm surface of this evening, there was an invisible tension, like the silence before a storm. The children drifted to sleep with smiles on their faces, unaware that the night was far from over. What was coming would shatter the illusion of safety forever. The house had fallen quiet. The children were finally asleep, their soft breathing the only sound drifting from the upstairs bedrooms. The babysitter sat alone in the dimly lit living room, scrolling absent-mindedly through her phone. The glow of the screen lit her face while shadows stretched across the walls. Then, her phone buzzed. She frowned. The number flashing on the screen was unknown. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, but curiosity won. She pressed accept. "Hello," she said softly. Silence. Not even static. Just an empty void on the other end. Uneasy, she hung up and set the phone aside. Perhaps it was just a wrong number. Minutes later, it rang again. The same number. This time, when she answered, she heard it breathing. Slow, heavy, unnatural. Her grip tightened on the phone. "Who is this?" she whispered. No reply. Only the eerie sound of someone listening. She hung up quickly, her hands trembling. She forced herself to stay calm. "It's nothing. Just a prank call," she told herself. But deep down, she knew it felt different. It felt intentional. Trying to distract herself, she checked the locks on the doors and peered through the curtains. The neighborhood outside was still, the street lamps casting long, lonely shadows. Nothing unusual. Nothing to explain the calls. Just as she returned to the couch, the phone rang again. This time, the voice on the other end finally spoke. A low whisper, chilling and deliberate. "Don't check on the children." Her heart pounded violently. She froze, staring at the dark staircase leading upstairs. Every instinct screamed to her to run, but her body felt paralyzed. The phone slipped from her hand, landing on the floor with a dull thud. The words echoed in her mind like a curse. "Don't check on the children." And in that instant, the night turned from ordinary to terrifying. The babysitter tried to shake off the strange phone calls. She convinced herself it was a prank, someone trying to scare her. She turned off the lights downstairs and tiptoed upstairs to check on the kids. The children were still awake, whispering to each other under the covers. When they saw her, their eyes were wide with fear. The older child clutched his younger sibling tightly and whispered, "There's someone in the hallway." The babysitter froze. "What do you mean?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay calm. The younger child pointed toward the door, his tiny hand trembling. "We saw him, a tall man standing right there." Her stomach dropped. Slowly, she peeked into the hallway. Empty, just shadows stretching along the walls. She forced a smile and said gently, There's no one there. It's just your imagination." But her words didn't ease their fear. The older child shook his head firmly. "No, we saw him. He was watching us." And then he walked away. A chill ran down her spine. She stepped into the hallway, the floor creaking beneath her feet. The house felt different now, colder, heavier. She checked every door, every corner. Nothing. Returning to the kids' room, she tried again to reassure them. "You're safe. I promise." She tucked them in tighter, kissed their foreheads like a mother would, and whispered, "Go to sleep." But as she turned to leave, she caught it too. At the very end of the hallway, for just a split second, she saw it, movement, a shadow, shifting unnaturally, as though someone had just stepped back out of sight. Her breath caught in her throat. The children's voices echoed behind her, soft and trembling. "See, we told you he was real." And in that moment, she realized the calls weren't just a prank. Someone might actually be inside the house. The parents were halfway through dinner when the father's phone buzzed. It was their home number. He smiled, expecting to hear the babysitter's calm voice. But when he answered, there was only silence. "Hello, Sarah? Everything okay?" he asked. Then came the sound, dull thuds, like footsteps echoing far away, followed by a faint scratching noise. The mother leaned closer, frowning. "What's happening?" she whispered. On the line, a child's voice suddenly cried out, muffled as if coming from another room. The babysitter's panicked voice followed. "Stay in bed. Don't move." The phone crackled violently, then filled with heavy breathing. Slow, raspy, unnatural. The father's blood ran cold. "Sarah? Who is that?" he shouted. Suddenly, a piercing scream tore through the speaker. High-pitched, desperate, and then silence. The mother covered her mouth in horror, tears welling in her eyes. Without another word, the father slammed his phone shut, grabbed his keys, and bolted for the car. The mother followed, her heart racing, every worst thought consuming her mind. The drive home was a blur of flashing headlights and pounding fear. The father's hands shook against the steering wheel while the mother kept dialing the babysitter's phone over and over. Each time, the call ended the same way, silence and faint, unearthly breathing. The house finally came into view, its windows dark, the porch light flickering as though the night itself had swallowed it whole. The parents exchanged a terrified glance. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. The father parked without even stopping the engine, both parents rushing toward the door. Their home, the place that had always been safe, now stood before them like a stranger, ominous and unwelcoming. And deep down, they both feared the same dreadful truth. Whatever was happening inside, it was far beyond their control. The parents burst through the front door, their hearts pounding in their chests. The house was eerily silent, far too quiet for a place where children should be. The living room was dark, the toys scattered across the floor exactly as they had left them. "Sarah?" the father called out, his voice echoing. No answer. They rushed upstairs, their footsteps thundering against the wooden steps. At the end of the hallway, the children's bedroom door was shut tight. From inside came the sound of muffled sobs. The mother threw it open, and both children ran into her arms, trembling with terror. But the babysitter was nowhere to be found. The father searched the hallway, opening every door. Empty bedrooms, empty bathroom. Yet the feeling of being watched grew stronger with each passing second. Then the mother noticed it, the wall in the upstairs hallway. Her breath caught in her throat. Scrawled in red, smeared letters were words that sent chills down their spines. "Never leave them with strangers." The message looked fresh, dripping as though it had been written only moments ago. The father's hand shook as he touched the wall, realizing it wasn't paint. The children clung tighter to their mother, crying, "She's gone, she just disappeared." The babysitter's phone lay abandoned on the carpet. The screen cracked, as if it had been dropped in a struggle. The last call on its history was from their own landline, meaning whoever had called earlier wasn't outside the house. They had been inside it. Panic set in. The parents gathered their children and fled the house, the shadows behind them seeming to shift and move. They didn't look back. That night became a memory etched into their souls, a story whispered in fear but never truly explained. Because the babysitter was never seen again, and the family never forgot the warning that glowed in red on their wall.